Yeah, going live, as you can see on the left side, and we are live. So welcome back, everyone. And we are now at the last session of the day, and I would say a very exciting session. It's a workshop on secrets of successful project teams. Some of the questions which were asked earlier also. Secrets of successful project teams, managing bias in project organizations for efficient decision making. And for this, we have a very well-known public speaker and a very an excellent expert, Mithun Mridha, who is joining us from Paris. And Mithun is PPM practice manager and enterprise architect, as I mentioned, based in Paris. He also happens to be an intercultural enthusiast and an international speaker, and I think he speaks 1/10 of the number of people in this conference as languages. So if there are 100 people, he speaks at least 10 languages rather fluently. He helps senior executives to foster strategic alignment, improve project performance, and develop future leaders. He has lived and worked for a long period of times in 4 countries. Mithun has also taught international business and project management in several prestigious European schools. So, Mithun, over to you. We are looking forward to your interesting session.
Thank you, Samir. Thanks for the wonderful introduction, and especially, I would say I don't speak that many languages, as Samir said, but I am deeply interested in cultures and
plus minus 10% standard deviation.
So everyone, welcome to this last session of the day. I'm so pleased to be winding up the first day after such a long sessions of wonderful, beautiful ideas in the world of project management, program management, portfolio management, especially for generics and biosimilars. I know you have been focused for all the day, so from 9:20 a.m. this morning, European time. So it's a lot of things, lot of information you got in your brains to feed yourself. Lots of ideas about strategy, lots of ideas about vision and implementations that you got until now, and all the discussions from the diverse speakers from all the locations like US, India, Germany, and many more. So why my topic? I think this topic, I want to speak about it because we did talk a lot about strategy today, a lot about portfolio management and the idea of having a strategic prioritization of products and projects in portfolios. But you might have heard about this quote, which is very, very old, that it originally comes from Thomas Edison, who says, vision without implementation is hallucination. And I think it can be related to projects, and we can say that strategy without implementation is hallucination, or it could be even a delusion, complete delusion, because if you have all the visions, all the strategies, all the experts in the world, but if you cannot put everything together and make it work, and over time for the whole life cycle of the project and deliver a successful project, if you don't do that till the end, you might not be successful. And since success matters so much to your team, success matters so much to my team, success matters so much to our world, which is in a very, very VUCA state, ever-changing state, I think this topic is important to you. So before I begin, I have a little question. I want you to create a wave of responses. So when I say, when I ask you the question, so every time I ask you the question, you should type in the response in the chat box, but don't press enter before I say go. So when I say go, everyone we'll press enter, and there will be a wave of responses, and we'll see what kind of we'll see what are the responses. So my first question is, what is the most frequent thinking error that you have observed? What is your most frequent thinking error? Don't just type. And now countdown begins. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's see the responses.
Mithun, click on the right side on the stage. You were on backstage when you were looking at that.
Okay.
On the right side stage.
Or maybe every time I ask the question, maybe you can comment on the answer.
Yeah, sure.
That will be the better.
Bahadur Chakmat says stress. Ritu Patel says prejudiced. Michael Urban says expectation. Aydin Kavechi said overthinking. Mino Petty says no risk. So those are the 5 comments so far.
Wonderful. And I think very, very relevant, all of your comments. And I think the thinking error, the biggest error is that knowing that we might not be right. We are not always right. And the more experience we get, the more projects we manage, the more projects we deliver, I think we somehow just get fond of the ego that we are right, and we start insisting that we are right. And we're so right that we just don't want to think that there is another world. There's another way. There's another whole world of possibilities that could exist in exactly the same decision that we are making if we could just think a bit differently. And I think that is difficult to put into place, but that's something that we are going to explore today. So I will be talking to you about bias. What is bias actually, and how it affects us? What kinds of bias could be affecting us? And then we'll go to the challenges. So what are the challenges in project teams? And based on the challenges, there will be a little analysis, which will be the part of what could be a possible reason behind those challenges, or behind those biases that are affecting the projects. And then I'll give you a little roadmap to success, which is how can you avoid, how can you perform, how can you rethink the way you are managing your projects. So with that, let me ask you another question. So this is a test. So again, the same thing. Keep your, when I say the countdown, you'll be pressing your enter button. So the question is, what rule defines this number sequence? You see 2, 4, 6, and what rule defines this number sequence? And you have it, and you have to say, okay, do you have the if you get it, it's incremental. So if you get this rule, now I want you to know, I want you to analyze which of the display series of the numbers fit this rule. Okay, the first rule, that 2, 4, 6, which of the next numbers which will be displayed fits the rule? So if you get it, put in your choice in the chat box, and when I say go, you'll be pressing enter. So if you got it, now it's the time to enter. So 3, 2, 1, enter. So Samir, do we have any responses? Let me check. Okay, I see. Okay, so I see most of the sessions. I mean, most of the responses are all the third, the 20, 22, 24, and I want to tell you that that is actually not. This is not exactly the rule. The rule is that all of them fits this sequence. And why? Because all of them are incremental. I told you in the beginning, it's incremental. That's the only information we have from the first series. So if you think of that, actually all these three sets of numbers, they fit the category. So the thing is, we try to jump to the solution that we actually know which sequence out of the three fits it best. And actually, we might not have a very scientific explanation, but we are we are forced to choose. Our brain tries to connect the dots, and this is how we fall into this condition of choosing a response, which is actually might be correct, but it's not the only correct response. The really correct response might be all the correct responses. So let's move forward. Now this one, my question would be, check this, this picture is actually the Mona Lisa of animal photography. So do you, what color do you think the cat has? So what is the color of the cat? And now second question is, do you think the cat is ascending or is the cat descending? So is the cat climbing up or is the cat climbing down?
Okay, we have first answer, gray. But Bahadir also tell, is it ascending or descending?
Exactly. So what do you think?
Bahadir says gray and climbing up. We have only one answer.
Okay, gray and climbing up. Okay, thank you. So
we have another one, black and white. Okay, so back to you.
Thank you. Wonderful. So the thing is, it's very interesting, and to all the audiences that I have asked this question, the most responses I get is gray. That's the first answer I get, and the second one is golden. And I have absolutely no clue why we think, or why a majority of the audiences think that the cat should be golden. And also about the same thing, if the cat is climbing up or climbing down, this again is also, you have to think about it. Everything depends on the perspective. Everything depends on how you are viewing, and we all have a different perspective. And that is what is very difficult in a project portfolio. Whenever you're managing several programs and projects, everyone has a different way of looking at the same facts. Everyone has a different way of perceiving the same things. And to build a common vision, to align everyone around the same strategical points, or same way of thinking, or same process, it's extremely difficult. And something which is also very specific in different organizations that I've observed is that you don't have the same level of looseness or tightness. So what I mean by looseness or tightness, this concept was, this research was done by a very famous American psychologist, Michelle Gelfand, and she describes the tightness or looseness in an organization. It depends about, it's about the culture, if everyone follows the rules or not. And this is really special if you see which organizations have very strict processes and regulations and rules to be followed, and how many of the project managers, how many of the program managers follow all the rules correctly, and how much of what is expected, and why a few of the clocks in a certain part of the world are always right, and few of the countries have clocks which might be running late, or which there might be a season change, and they might have forgotten to again redo and update the time on those public clocks. So this is really all boils down to the organization and the tightness or looseness of the culture around your project portfolio. So another example. So do you think this lovely animal, do you think he is, what do you think he's doing? Do you think he's nice? Do you think he's laughing? Or do you think he is not laughing? Please enter your responses in the chat.
So no responses so far. So requesting everyone, the question is laughing or not laughing. So Badir says scared. Peter says no, not laughing. Monique says not laughing.
Excellent. You guys you got it.
Ritu says both, I guess.
So although you might see the face, it looks like as if it's laughing, but actually the reality could be very different. It's not really laughing. It's actually, Monica, you're right. It's actually scared. And the eyes are really big, and you might be seeing like, wow, what a beautiful eyes. But actually this animal is a nocturnal animal, and that's why the eyes are big, because they are very sensitive to daylight. And when it sees the hand, actually it's trying to put its arm up, and there is a gland below the arm, and which is actually which secretes a poison. And the only thing he's trying to do is to lick that gland so that he can get that venom, and he can bite, or he can scratch, and he can kill you. So actually he's not smiling, he's trying to kill you. So what you see might not be the reality. The way we see things and perceive things are very based upon they're very much influenced upon our past experiences and past biases, and they might not be very easy to perceive. One last question. So what do you see? Sorry, my text is a bit not fitting the. So it's the text was, are we on the right page? Are we all in the right page, on the right page, or we are just in different books? And this is one of the questions I ask a lot of teams. So what do you think? What do you see in the picture? What is? Please describe. So take any number of words and please describe in the chat. Let's see what responses we get.
Still waiting.
Mm-hmm.
In the meanwhile, I can mention that people are really appreciating this starting appetizer session, and everybody is commenting very positively for you, Mithun. In the
Wonderful.
meanwhile, Baha mentions a bird, maybe.
Okay, a bird.
Yeah, Peter mentions bacteria culture.
Okay.
Monique mentions tortoise on the bottom.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So now what I'll do is that I'll just turn it.
Lots of fantasy, a turtle. Okay.
I love this idea of turtle. And actually, yes, I can imagine a turtle. So what we are all doing is that we are just trying to connect the dots with what we know. We are trying to see what we already know, and can we find it in this picture. But if I turn this picture just sideways, and now I think you can see it clearly, it's actually a cow.
How?
It's a cow. So if you see the face of the cow,
now I can see it.
You have the eyes, you have the nose, you have the big ears. So I just had to turn it upside down and just see the amount of diversity of responses that I'm getting. So again, the thing is, according to Inc. magazine reports, only 2% of the employees can name their company's top 3 priorities. Executives of those companies predicted 64% would be able to do so. So there is a real difference between what companies think that their employees know and what they really know. My friend Chaba told he trained a group of people recently in Germany. I can't name the company, but when he was training them, he asked them how many of them know the strategy, the top 3 strategy, top vision. So vision and the 3 values, top 3 values and the vision of the company. And actually, out of all the participants, so none of them could answer them except one, and that participant was the CEO of the company. So again, I'm just saying that you might think that all these people are working for so many years and so many months on the projects, on this company, in this company, on very interesting portfolios, but you don't know if they're aligned with the strategy, with the vision, with the values of the company. And every relationship we are having at work, it's all about the values. People will not contribute if you are not aligned with their values. And we have a hierarchy of values, and you have to know which value comes first, which value comes second, which value comes third. And are you really aligned with the people? Are you really aligned with the values of the teams? Just think about it like a ship. What you want is like you're wanting as a project manager. It's a bit like the captain of the ship. The captain of the ship wants to sail somewhere. But think about all the team members as a crew. If the crew members don't want to go to the same place, whatever the captain might want, I don't think the captain will be very successful. And that's why there's a big divide, big change, big shortcoming that comes into picture, and errors come into picture at later stages of the projects. And you never know what it came from, what was the real reason behind those changes. So I want to explain you what cognitive bias is. So cognitive bias is actually an error. It's a systematic error in thinking, and it's actually always there because our brain is simplifying information. Our brain has to receive. Our brain receives so much of information, millions and millions of bits of information every minute, and the brain has to think, has to decide, has to make specific decision which information it has to take action on and which information it has to not process, keep it aside, or even forget. And just imagine if your brain would be deciding for each and every thing. We are taking actually more than 6,500 decisions every day. That starts from in the morning. If you're deciding, shall I brush my teeth or not? Shall I wear a tie or not? Which color of my shirt? Or coffee or tea or which tea? Earl Grey or black tea or mint tea or herbal tea. So you have to make a decision. If you have to analyze and really think proactively for each of the decisions, I'm sure the brain will be tired at the end of the day. So you have to automate a part of your thinking, and that's what your brain is doing. You're using rules of thumb, and the problem is not always the rules of thumb are giving you the right answers. And that's why that's where the cognitive bias comes from. And it can be from one of the 4 types of reasons. It could be due to too much of information. So you are getting so much of information on a project that you are just noticing a few changes. You are noticing a few things like repetition or just what you are wanting to confirm, and not everything that is mentioned in the documentation. You also may be suffering from not enough meaning. It means whatever is being said in a steering meeting, you're thinking that that is not enough, and you're trying to fill in the gaps with your patterns. You are trying to have the benefit of the doubt. You're trying to connect it to a solution which you think is the best for you, or you're having not enough time. So since you don't have enough time, you're trying to keep the options open. You're trying to fast forward. You are just trying to say, okay, yeah, whatever solution is the easiest and the nearest, take that option. And the fourth one is not having enough memory. So you want to save space. So you want to generalize. You want to use just an example. You want to go as fast as possible in that decision. So these are the four things that are leading you to cognitive biases. So I want to talk to you about the challenges. So in my experience on international projects, programs, and portfolios, a major challenge I found was resolving conflict. So resolving conflict, decision making, communicating virtually. So this was always the case, and now with COVID environment, that is even more relevant. Decision making is always a challenge, because every decision involves risk, and every risk has an impact. So it's a positive or negative impact to your credibility, to your reputation, to your finances. So it could, every decision involves an impact, possible positive or negative impact, and that's why decision making is so difficult for people, and a lot of people just keep them aside. They don't want to make decisions because they want to keep it for later, or they want to give it to someone else. They just don't want to be the one making the decision. So this is a real issue. Then solving problems, which is a part of project management, and every day you are solving problems. Building relationships across cultural differences, so that's always tricky, especially when you have expat teams, you have supplier teams from different countries. For example, I have been working with a project team where the project manager is a Norwegian project manager. She's based in London, but due to COVID lockdown, she is currently working from Scotland, and the rest of the team is a British team, but half of the team speaks fluent French and is working with my team in Paris. And so so just imagine the Norwegian project manager, and we are interacting with another team which is in Czech Republic, and the project manager is from Russia and another project manager from Romania. The supplier company is a French company, and it's working for my client company. So you can think about all these relationships could be very complex when you have the relation, the cultural differences in communication. You have other conception of the world which is very different, and which might lead to a lot of complexities. And understanding protocol was always a problem, because a lot of the protocols are not written. So you are expected to do it, but it's not always said, and nobody tells you if you are new to the project or the portfolio. And that's what makes things complex. So what I can give you as a example is this little object where you see all these different colors. So for me, these are all the challenges you'll be having in your international projects. And with time, what you have to do is you have to grow. And growing means you're growing, but you have to stay connected to all the parts of your projects. And that's where the challenge lies, that can you stay unbiased in leading and during your growth stage, which is a major challenge. So let's go forward to the analysis of all these cognitive biases. So I have made them into three categories: individual cognitive biases, then team biases, so I think it's better to differentiate them. So let's start with the individual biases. So the first one is confirmation bias. So this is like something that is really, really affecting at all times. It just means that you are trying to confirm what you already know. And whenever you are in a meeting, you are listening to your stakeholders, what is being accepted is what is confirming to your own idea already. So your tendency to look for information that supports your existing belief while rejecting data that goes against it. And this is very strong, especially in large portfolios, when you have your stakeholders coming from teams who were not part of the organization. So for example, I see that in most pharma organizations, the project teams formed are a result of a lot of mergers and acquisitions, and a lot of teams who were not actually belonging to the same organization are now put together in the same team. And now they have also members from suppliers. They have members from regulatory agencies also participate from time to time in the projects. And what takes place is this tendency of confirmation bias, which is affecting a lot of the decisions. So my question is, what percentage of supplier selections in your projects are influenced by confirmation bias? Let's see what is your guess. Please enter through chat.
Okay, waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Aiden says 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Aiden Kepechi.
Yeah.
Baha says more than 50%. I would say 80%.
Yeah.
Monique
absolutely.
says 75. Peter says 49.
Great. My estimate is also something between 70 and 80.
And so the award goes to you, Monique. And you one chocolate, I guess.
Congratulations, Monique. And yeah, absolutely. So just think about it. When your supplier selection is biased, I mean, I've been facing on one of my client projects, and this project has been delayed for more than 8 months. And at so many times, a part of the teams, we did question, did you select the right supplier? The supplier team doesn't seem to be extremely engaged on the timeline which is asked by the regulatory authorities, and they are not really they don't seem very concerned about all the differences, cultural differences that involve in this project, because the clients teams are widespread in several locations in Europe and outside Europe, and all of those little issues came up, and the project kept on getting delayed. So it was supposed to be delivered in June, and with a very innovative product, and actually it will be finally delivered with all the archived information for the regulatory teams in March. So think about it, it's almost 9 months of delay, and there's a big financial impact which the organization had to suffer. So think about it. Is your supplier selection biased? You have to be very, very careful about that. Anchoring. Now, this is another bias which is occurring. I'm seeing it very much in especially in high flyer sponsor committees. So all the top level executive committee meetings where you're actually pitching for the ideas, or where you are actually presenting the concepts, and that's one of the places where anchoring works a lot. Anchoring means like you are first initially having an information which is being presented by one of the project managers or one of the stakeholders, and actually for the remainder of the days, for the following days, this information becomes really the anchor. Everyone starts comparing it to this first information, and although nobody actually did the deeper analysis of seeing if this information was correct in the first place, somehow that information becomes the standard, the benchmark for the team. And this is so easily, if you check within your experiences, I'm sure you'll find a lot of anchoring in your organizations. Overconfidence, so that is actually it's just placing too much faith in your knowledge, your contribution. You're thinking that what you know is more important than what the other people in the project might be knowing. And this overconfidence is actually might be creating a lot of issues in your in your project. So now the second type of cognitive bias is project cognitive bias. So we saw the first part, individual. Now we'll see what are the project. These are the cognitive biases which are mostly affecting project level. So the first one is planning fallacy. So you can see from the two pictures. The first picture is that what you plan, and you have a specific goal, you have a SMART goal, and you are actually touching the finishing line. And actually, when in reality, when you're going, you might have valleys, you might have predators on the route, you might have to go survive the snow, survive sharks, take a boat, go survive a fire, survive a storm, and even a bear and a volcano. So think about that. So this is actually, as I have never seen a project plan which was actually simplified and moved even better than what was planned. And I think every time there is something new that comes up. And that's why planning fallacy is that you're always thinking that it will take the length of the project. Actually, you're always thinking that it's shorter, but you always take more time. You are taking more time than what you planned. And that's what is contributing to a lot of faulty decisions in the projects. Sunk cost fallacy. So this is about what you have spent in the past. So if you have a project which was already you had spent already 30 million euros on that project, and today if you are making a decision, a lot of the times your tendency would be to choose the option which is closest and which is in phase, which is in continuity with what you already spent. And so this is sunk cost fallacy, because the thing is, I can give an example. If you are going for winter vacations, let's say for a ski vacation in the Alps, in the Swiss Alps. So think about it. You have already spent 1,500 euros to book the tickets. Your vacations are already booked. Everything is set with the family, the trains. Everything is from end to end booked. You have the hotel, everything is ready. Just a week before the vacation begins, you just get the information that perhaps the feedback of other people who did this ski resort is not really great. The customer feedback was really negative. The people did not really enjoy, and it was really not worth spending the time there. Now you have two options. Actually, since you already paid, the condition was that if you cannot get any of the money back. So what do? Do you still do you forget about the customer feedback and still go and spend your vacation with your family at this ski resort, or do you completely change your plan? So again, the tendency of most people would be to still go and go for the holidays, but the intelligent decision would be that, okay, my time is more important. If I want to have a nice time with my family, I think I will reconsider it. What has been already spent is spent. I cannot get back that money, but the time is still money. And if I want to have a better return on my investment in terms of time, I should better choose another place. Maybe staying at home would be even better than going to a ski resort where you have unfriendly people and not giving good service. So think about all these things. So tendency to continue a behavior or endeavor as a result of previously invested resources. So my idea of avoiding it is every time you have to make a decision, forget about all the investment in the past. Think about from now on, is this decision going to make a difference in your project? So information bias. So this is like today we have SharePoint, Teams, we have Slack, we have so many PPM tools like Clarity, Primavera, Planisware. So all the information is in these tools, and actually you have so much of information which are connected from one application to another. You're always thinking that you need more information. So information bias is actually you're thinking that you need more information to respond it, and you have you never have enough information, and you are actually thinking all of that is valuable, and actually that is not. You don't really need all the information. You have to make sense of the information without getting lost in the information. So next, go to the next phase, the last phase of biases, which are the team biases. So we already saw individual biases, project level biases, and now the last one, the team biases. The first one is groupthink. So this is very interesting. It's a tendency of a group to make a decision which actually doesn't help any of the individuals involved or as a group, but somehow the group thought that this was the best decision for the group. It's a bit like a lot of families when they are asked to choose the menu in the restaurant, and actually everyone thinks that the other person might be liking that, and based on that they keep adapting to the menu options, and they finally choose something which actually nobody likes, but they think that that is the best menu for the whole group. And this is what happens in a lot of projects. So it's people think about a desire for harmony and conformity, and the result is actually unintended, it's irrational, it's absolutely doesn't make sense for the group. Sharedness bias. So this is a bias which when you see these little birds, actually I captured them from the window of an Airbnb apartment in Croatia, and I was saying like this sparrow was so much he had so much to share with these other swallows. They're very different species, but they're extremely happy playing with each other. And when the other birds would come, they would not entertain them. They were only between themselves. So this is the sharedness bias. Is you are relying on information shared by team members, but you are neglecting information from other people, other sources, any other shared information. And actually, you are staying inside that bubble, and you are only doing what your team members are suggesting. And finally, you become so you are so far from the reality at sometimes in your organization due to the sharedness bias that you are absolutely not able to connect with the people. Déformation professionnelle. So this is a bias which is where you are actually thinking too much about the information which is from your professional background, and it's not helping you to connect with the reality or with other people. So your context of your expertise is influencing your decision making. So now since I have explained you all, I would like to give you an approach and about if you can have a roadmap to success. So the approach is you have to really ask all the WH questions like why, how, where, what, who, when. So you have to have a real approach. So one thing you can do is you can know more about the biases. So this illustration comes from Howard Ross from one of his books. So Howard Ross is a really interesting read. Who says that if you're human, you are biased. So you have to see, like if you see in this quadrants, you have to know which of the biases are helping you, which biases are in favor of you, and which biases are against you. And you have to have one-to-one exchange with each of the team members to see really to have a different analysis of the situation. And then you can, once you are aware, I think awareness is key. Once you're aware that you are having some biases and you know which one of them are destructive, I think you can make specific choices to avoid the destructive biases and the negative biases from your decision making. Something else you can do is education. So you have to make yourself familiar with all the cognitive biases. So there, I haven't told you about all the biases. So there are more than 60 cognitive biases. So you can go on this link, which I mentioned in the slide about the cognitive bias index. It's on Wikimedia. You can click on each of the biases. It will give you examples. It will give you the definition. So you have to exchange with others. You have to keep exchanging with people around you, that you've made a decision, but is the decision the best decision? Some of the decisions are also culture-related biases. So there might be biases due to your association bias, due to gender, race, career. You might have other biases related to your values, which kind of, what are your values and how those values shape your own identity, and how you are making you are having the biases only because of your own identity. So think about what other people have as values and what factors are leading them to have their own identity and how they might be making the decisions. So learning more about the differences, putting yourself in others' shoes, that gives you more leverage to really avoid culture-based bias. A lot of people keep telling you about maintaining your skill set. So people are all the time talking about skill set maintenance. They're taking the trainings, new certifications, they're going back to school, they're going to professional courses after work. But what is really missing is this mindset maintenance. You have to maintain your mindset. That's also something which, and you have to look for opinions, you have to look for challenges, you have to always go outside your comfort zone. So all the growth takes place when you are outside your comfort zone, and that means how much are you comfortable being uncomfortable. So you have to embrace the differences, you have to embrace your failures, you have to embrace yourself and learn from it and not judge it. The more judgmental you become, the less effective you are in your decision making. So if you are less judging and more observing and more open to others and more inclusive to others, I think that's what will make a great mindset for you. Something from a very old concept of Six Sigma, you can see this is there is a problem, there's a leakage, and there is a solution, which could be a temporary solution. But really, can you ask all those whys one after the other to find the real root cause? And every time if you try to do the root cause, I think that also will show you a lot of give you lots of ideas. Like recently on one of my projects, we had a major issue, and actually nobody, nor the supplier nor the parent company of my client knows that where the root cause might be. So we are all actually right now we are doing this root cause analysis, and it's really interesting because we have absolutely no idea about why we had this problem in the first place. So something I want you to suggest as a real approach is create a system of checks in your decision-making process. So whenever you have a business case in your portfolio, try to add more judges. So the more the judges you have, you will kill prejudice. And that means have more people really from diverse backgrounds. Sometimes you should invite people who are not even in your department or in your division, so that who are doing completely, like somebody who is in sales or marketing, who has nothing to do with your R&D portfolio, but invite them to your sponsor committee and get their feedback. Maybe they have something to say, and if you make them also a judge, you might be able to create some of the prejudice in your own team. Evaluation. So whenever you are making a decision on your project, make several rounds of evaluations. You have to package the most important elements for your decision, whenever you are presenting. You have to question yourself. So don't stay inside the prison of your own decisions. Keep questioning yourself, your team, everyone. And it's not directed at one person. Keeping to question yourself again and again might give you other ideas, and then launch your ideas in a safe space. So create a safe space where people can make mistakes, where people are not judged for doing the flaws. Like Google says, you have to fail fast. So failing fast is kind of create a sandbox where you can just try your ideas. Apply a risk-centric approach. So whenever you are making any decision, try to have a very risk-centric approach whenever you are evaluating the options. One of the ideas could be real options, which also gives you a step-by-step approach to evaluating options for a portfolio. I recommend you this book, Situational Mindsets, from Dr. Mary Lippitt, who talks about the 6-step approach to having success. And every time you have a question, you have to think about, is it contributing to inventing something? Is it catalyzing something? Is it about developing something? Is it helping you to perform in something? Or is that new initiative protecting you from something or challenging you in some way? So these are, so she provides a very detailed list of questions which you can ask for each of these parts. And actually, it could be like a checklist when you're launching projects. I also want to recommend you this book, Immunity to Change, where Robert Keegan, he talks about different types of minds, and actually tells you that mind can be like a socialized mind, which is like really you have low complexity and in time, and you could improve into a self-authoring mind where you are actually an agenda driving and you're a leader. You're learning from your compass, but you're still you're still fixed in your own frame, and then you could actually move to a complexity, higher level of complexity of in your mind and your consciousness, which could be a self-transforming mind, which is really a meta leader. You are able to learn multi-frame. You're working with contradictions. You're working with you're happy finding with problem finding, and you are interdependent. So that approach might really help. Think about Dr. Daniel Kahneman, who won the Nobel Prize for his book Thinking Slow and Fast. And so think about this slow system 1 thinking, where you are doing the unconscious, fast and associative autopilot thinking, and where you are really system 2 thinking, which is taking effort, slow, logical, lazy, but you are and you're indecisive. So think about when are you in which system, and whenever you are making decisions, try to be aware of which system is taking control of you. I really recommend for all portfolio managers thinking about to use per checklist. It's just like a pilot. Think about it. When I give some checklists to my project managers, a lot of times they say, yes, I've done it. I always do that. But actually, I ask them, did you check it this time? And this is the idea. A pilot never starts the plane before going through the checklist, even if it's boring and even if it's the same checklist again and again. So actually, if you do it again and again, if you're really thorough about it, actually there is some magic about it. And that's why there's so few problems in the accidents if you compare it to the total number of flights that you have every day. I'm talking about the time before COVID. So think about this, that you are having pilots and versus a control tower where you are having people who are not actually running the projects, who are not the project managers, but they're like the PMOs who are actually analyzing. We're getting a lot of data from different sources. They're assimilating it, they're analyzing it, and they could provide a very good feedback to the pilots who are the project managers on you. And you both can have your different sets of checklists and interact lively to avoid bias. So these are a few books I recommend you highly. And with that, I would like to end with the questions and answers. So over to you, Samir, and if you have any questions.
Yeah, first of all, thank you. Very interesting and very Nice concepts. I guess today we were having some discussion on this, on the cooperation in a project team and from different stakeholders, etc. Some of them get very well answered. So I'm still waiting to see any questions in the chat box. So any questions by anyone? So I think you covered very interesting topic, Mithun, about the biases. And honestly, I never thought like that. To be very transparent, I never thought like that. And this is a totally different perspective. Why do projects fail? They are also, yeah, I mean, non-cooperation or cooperation or doing things and not in the right way is also related to biases. And in the meanwhile, we get a question from Aydin Kavechi. So the question is, how can we get rid of bias of project teams before starting a project?
Yeah, absolutely. A great question, Aydin. And I think, yes, I just see that you wrote if we can align different perspectives of people. So yeah. I think that is, I think it's yeah, aligning the perspectives is really important. I think even choosing the people is also really important. So what most companies are doing is that they are just setting the objective, and they're trying to see which talents they have, and then they're thinking, okay, these talents are missing, let's recruit them from the outside, from the market, let's put them in. And this is what one of my favorite authors, Jim Collins, who wrote the book Good to Great and Built to Last, he says that whenever you have a new project, actually companies are having a bus, they are putting some people on some positions, and they're trying to recruit the other from external, and then they say, this is the objective, so this is the destination that you have to go, and you have to work together in the bus, and you have to go. And the problem is that you have never taken into question, you have never questioned yourself about the fact if all these people inside the bus, if they get along with each other, if their perspectives are aligned, if they care about each other, and if their values are aligned. And this is never asked before, and it's very, very difficult. So what happens is, if you take time to select the right team, so what Jim Collins suggests is that you select you take the bus, you choose the people who get along very well with each other, who want to work with each other, who have a same set of values, and who want to go and who want to do something together. So you put all of those people together in the bus, and you, as a leader, you let them choose where they want to go, and you stay out of the picture, and you'll realize that the solutions they will find about starting the project will be very interesting solutions, and they will be having very less biases than what you might have when you have disconnected people in a major project. And all I can add is that it's never possible to have zero biases. That's impossible. We will be always having errors in our thinking, so that we cannot get rid of. But what we can get rid of is the judgment, is everything that we build up as negative energy in the projects, which are making people wasting time in important phases of the project. So if we can accelerate all that, and if we can really have an engaged conversation with each person, and have everyone do and perform to their fullest, and really find meaning in what they're doing, I think that can be much more meaningful and can be less biased.
Okay, we have another question from Bahadi Chakmak. In your life, how do you make your decisions mostly? Listening to your feelings or remembering your experience?
Yeah, very excellent question. Actually, in private and in business, I do both. Actually, one of my ways is not thinking about the decision, going halfway, but not making the decision, and just keeping it. For example, I'll give you an example. If I'm buying something on Amazon, I see the feedback. I see that product looks lovely. I see a lot of people commenting on it, everything positive. and I feel like, yeah, that can be good. I can do a lot of things with this product. But what I do is that I just add it to my list of items that I'll be buying. And I just have it in my list. I add it, but I don't go to check out my my shopping cart. I don't pay it, and I'll wait for it. I will think about it, and I will over a few days, actually, I'll think if I really need, if that product will really serve the purpose, and do I have something else in my flat which might do the same thing, and do I really need to be consuming more than what I'm consuming today? And a lot of times when I wait, I have a completely different idea a few days later, and I think I just didn't really need that product, and I changed my decision. And so this is my way of thinking about. So thinking is important, feeling is important, both are important. Your gut feeling is important. Sometimes you don't have the time, so you have to make the decision because there are things waiting. So wait and see exactly, and feel it, but at the same time use your brain. Don't forget your brain. You have a brain, you have to use it, but at the same time we are emotional beings. As Tony Robbins says, we are emotional beings, and we always make the decisions with our emotions, and we rationalize it with thinking later. We try to make it look coherent with we try to make them look as intelligent decisions and very rational decisions, but they are, all that is added later. Initial decision, like if you see, if somebody loves a Ferrari, the fan will never think about what horsepower that engine is. That's not the horsepower that attracts him. That's actually his emotions associated with the brand of Ferrari that makes him choose the car over any other car. So I think you have to use both for a better decision making. Any other questions?
Not so far, but yeah. So I guess already 5:10. So I have to thank you, Mithun, for an excellent presentation, a very interactive session. I think this was the first interactive session we had of this kind, and really appreciate that. In the chat box, maybe you can read, everybody's appreciating this concept. And so now we just got one quick question. Maybe we take this.
Yes, let's take this. Yeah.
So how to handle biases from the people who hold the final decisional power of a project? For example, biases from different department managers or directors who are involved in the same project.
Great question, and I absolutely know, and I see the question is from Samir. So yeah, excellent question. I think this is the thing. The more senior you get in the organization, a lot of the times you might have a tendency to have more biases, although you might not want to talk about it. So the best way would be first is as I told you before, awareness. You have to be aware that you are biased, and think about it. I think you should try to make the decisions different from. You have to dissociate the credibility part of it. So a lot of people think, especially at top management positions, they are very much stuck to their department's way of working. If you tell them that, okay, I know you are right, but would you be available to talk about other possibilities which your project might have? And I think you have to present the possibilities as soon as possible, and you have to spend time with them. You have to have this discussion one-to-one. So you could have it at an informal place if you want to have this discussion. But a lot of times what I do, I have this problem. What I do is that I try to meet each of the stakeholder, each of the high top level directors in my client teams. I try to meet them face to face or one to one before the meeting. So the thing is that you have to ask them about what are their fears about the decision. What are they really trying to achieve? How do they want to see their future team like, and what is really influencing them in having this decision made in a certain way. And also you have to discuss with them, if you do this decision, have you thought about any errors that you might have that might appear, or do you think there might be a better opportunity or option? And so have just a discussion where I call it no strings attached discussions. So have those discussions with each of the stakeholders before the main presentation, because whenever you let them discuss in the steering meeting or in the real sponsor committee meeting where people have to make the big decision, it's too late, because there it might be a very explosive discussion that you might get. So you have to avoid that kind of situation. You have to, if you know already that you have some people might be biased, just present them with all the other opportunities, and also present them that these biases might be in place. You have to present it very factually. And I strictly believe that everyone in the organization wants to progress, and positive progress in the right way. Actually, we are all good intentioned human beings. I don't think anyone has a very bad intention in the organization. It's just a lack of awareness which contributes to these bad decisions. So if you can help them with this awareness. I have another solution that we did, is something with kind of coaching. So what we did is in my former company, we tried something called reverse coaching, where we had we paired each young project manager with a very senior executive in the company, and the senior executive would be coaching or will be a mentor on a lot of strategic parts of the project decision making for this young manager, and the young project manager would be talking about all the new information, social media, any of the new trends coming into the picture, which is from the new generation, and we'll be teaching this senior executive on that. And it was really win-win. And all these pairs, we made them work for 6 months, and then we had a review, like, did they find it helpful? And all of them were very glad, and they even wanted to continue over after the 6 months of their mentoring session. So I think reverse mentoring could be a good idea, which could help in this case as well.
Okay, with that, I would like to once again thank you, Mithun, for very insightful thoughts and presentation. Also want to thank everyone for their participation. So now I will hand it over back to Simona Majerska of Y Summit. So Simona, back to you, over to you.
Hello, thank you so much for closing today so strongly. I'd like to thank both of you, Samir, for your presence throughout the whole day. It's been amazing to have you as a chairman during this first day. We'll see you tomorrow as well. And Mithun, wow, Bahadur mentioned that you raised the bar, and I can only agree. It was very beautiful workshop, very engaging. So today we were witnesses of wealth of wisdom and experience on the stage. It's been very insightful on so many levels. So I'd like to thank all the speakers and also all the attendees of this conference. So we've got another day coming up. Tomorrow we start at 9:30 in the morning, and there's a couple of panel discussions, presentations, keynotes, so there's a lot you don't want to miss out. In case there was a part of the program that you liked today, but you didn't manage to see it live, you can actually access the recordings on the platform PPM Workout that we developed for you. There will be way more said about that tomorrow, so I'm not going to hold you any longer because it's been a pretty long and full day. But thank you again for coming, for participating, for sharing your experience, your wisdom, and I'll see you tomorrow. So thank you again, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye. Have a nice evening.